we can do is clear part of it,
Yeah,
put asphalt on, asphalt's put
Young,
limestone
old,
on.
men, so that's saying that.
And can do launch
yeah, when you, let me send you that, her family name so you can,
right on by your mansion, so
Kayak,
people.
I just sold 2 kayaks this week. She was a
she was a power,
She was a
is a
PA.
Harris.
She married a PA
I would want
in the trailer.
I would want
Everybody charity, $7,000.
I'd like to call the East Ascension Drainage meeting to order. For August 6, 2018. Ms. Secretary, all members are present except for Mr. Johnson and Mr. Turner.
What about OJ? That's it.
Mr. Dawson, would you please lead us in the invocation followed by the pledge?
Father, as we come tonight, we give you praise and glory for all that you continue to do, all the blessings you bestowed upon us. And Father, though we had some issues and situations that happened in the parish, Father, we pray for Celeste Harris and the family, oh God, that you minister to them during their time of loss, that you bless them, oh God, and continue to be there for them. And Father, Jean and Harriet Hoffman, Father, we understand the accident that happened and Harriet passed away, and we ask that you minister to their family and continue to minister to all of their hurts and pains. Father, so many times when we go through life, we take for granted all the blessings that you bestowed upon us. But there was a song that was sung one time that said, count your blessing and name them one by one. Count your blessing and see what you have done. So, Father, we thank you for all the blessing you continue to bestow upon the Ascension Parish. Give us the wisdom to do the people's business well and to continue to serve in the manner that you will have us to. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ken. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with Ms. Deb. It will be, we're gonna pass on item number 10. We'll bring that back, when we review the, floodplain management. We'll go on to number 4, the acceptance of the minutes for June the 11th.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sadler, second by Mr. John. And we have Mr. Benny Johnson coming in. Thank you, Benny. All right, we'll move on. No, there's no chairman report. Number 6, the drainage report for Mr. Joy.
We have a submittal that was made by HNTV concerning the Bayou Conway Panama Canal project. There's a LOMR that they submitted to FEMA, and we're still waiting on the results from FEMA. The New River dredging project. The environmental and surveying services are complete on it. The wetland delineation report was submitted to the Corps. They're now, and this is H. Davis Cole that's doing this work for us. They are working on the plans. They should have 30% plans ready for us probably sometimes early next week. On the Fish Bayou project, on that one, the 214 agreement was in effect for that project. The permit was issued to the Corps on the 13th of July, and ELOS did the environmental work for that. The Corps came back with comments on the 17th, So that's one encouraging thing, is that that 214 agreement apparently is doing some good, and that the first submittal that went to the Corps on Friday the 13th, we got comments back, or ELOS got comments back on the 17th, which was the following Tuesday. So it does seem like that 214 agreement is is doing some good for us, at least initially. GSA and ELOS did respond to the Corps' comments and made a submittal on July 31st. So that's where they are. They're waiting on the results back from the Corps. And that's what I have for the report.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Johnny?
Joey, just real quick, on the New River Weir project, does that come under the 214 agreement as well, or not?
Yeah, that whole project is being executed by use of the 214, agreement.
Good. Thank you.
Ms. Terry?
Yes, Joey, tell me a little bit more about the dredging of New River. What's the extent of that dredging? What's the scope of that
It's
geographically, if you don't mind?
Yeah, the limits of the project is where the weir is today, which is, just down Weber City Road, just only about 800 feet. There's an existing weir that you can see big rocks and all there. So that's that end of it. The other end is at Cornerview, right at the bridge at Cornerview. So where New River snakes around New River Road by the old golf course and all that, snakes around New River Road, and it goes to Cornerview and makes a little turn to the west, and it stops at the bridge, that crossing right there.
So would you please get with Jerome about that piece of it? Because I think he has a meeting on Wednesday morning with some citizens in that area, and one of their major concerns is that dredging project. And I certainly wasn't aware sufficiently to discuss it with them when I talked with them last week.
Okay,
So
sure.
if you could do that, I'd appreciate it.
I will.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bill?
Joey had, maybe, might have to get HNTB to answer this, but I have a few questions about the Lomar at Panama Conway, so I'd like to know when that was submitted to FEMA and when we expect an approval on that, and then how much the BFEs were lowered.
Okay, Melissa is here.
I saw her.
She can answer it better than I can.
Yes, Melissa Kenny with HNTB. I don't know the date right offhand of when we originally submitted the Lomar package, and they came back with comments, and we replied to those, and we thought everything was good, and then FEMA came back and said they want some additional structures that were not originally included in the model added, so we had to go out and get some survey of those structures, put those in the model, and that was resubmitted to FEMA in July, and we're now waiting for FEMA to say okay on that, in which case then we'll submit them the final maps.
So,
And I'm hoping,
okay, so what generally did that result in the BFEs being lowered by how much?
it varies. I would say the maximum amount it lowers is about a foot.
Okay, so more or less it stayed the same, but
Right.
this will establish the BFEs for that area. Is that
Correct.
correct? Okay. So, and maybe I'm going to ask this, Joey, and I wouldn't let her go yet, but I wanted to get the status of the floodplain management plan. So where are we on that?
To get direction on where to go with it. Last meeting, Melissa had made a presentation on it, so we're waiting for direction.
Okay. Direction
And
from
Bill,
the,
Bill, if you don't mind, I think there's a couple of things that we're looking at here.
okay.
There's a couple of things with courthouse, our levee system that we're trying to build now on Laurel Ridge Levee, and a few other things that, we need to be clear. What we fixing to do here, we're not gonna double standard what we're trying to approve here. So I think we need another either working meeting or I think, Ms. Kennedy, if you can maybe set something up where, you know, everyone knows what's going on with this, I think it'd be a little bit better. Because, I mean, there's too many projects that's fixing to happen here that, I don't want this to interfere with any of them.
Yes, I can work with the administration and set something up. Also, I'd just like to say, we submitted a implementation framework which outlines the path forward for the rest of the whole floodplain management plan. So that has been submitted as well. But I understand the ordinance is still an issue right now.
Okay. So it's just it's a matter of us coming to an agreement on which way we want to proceed on that. Is that
Correct.
Is that a fair assumption? Okay.
Thank you.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Mr. Doc. Doc, you have anything?
I think Bill handled what I had. Thank you.
Mr. Aaron?
Good, thank you.
Mr. Randy?
The only thing I wanted an update on was where we stand on the Law Ridge levy extension, but it's my understanding that we don't have any reports tonight on that, pending litigation with Livingston Parish and meetings going on that. So I'm gonna let everybody know that that project's not dead and we're still working to get it done. Thank you.
Mr. Todd?
I'm good.
Mr. Bennett? Joey, anything else on your report? Ron, anything on the drainage report?
Box number 3 update, it was at the end of June. They did mobilize, got the contract in place, and the gearbox was pulled. It is now in Birmingham, Alabama at Philadelphia Gear. The analysis has begun. Our casing, it was verified that it can be reused, so that will save a little money. The gear set and pinion is damaged, needs to be replaced, so they have drafted plans. They're in the process of getting a new one out to machine and inspecting gears and other gears and bearings. We did have several spare parts that we shipped with it that they're going to inspect and recertify if possible. Try to save anything we can on it, but I did assure them that if at all needed, we want quality parts going back into that thing. So I feel like next meeting, talking with Ms. Gale, that we'll have a much more detailed timeline and schedule of this. They kind of have to put things together in place and to get that schedule built. So we'll have a little bit more report next meeting on that. In Bayou Conway, we removed over 60 trees out of the lower end of Bayou Conway. And we have purchased a spray rig for our boat for vegetation management in that area. They have done that this past few weeks. They've been out spraying that area. That should increase the efficiency of Conway in preventing things from piling up on those 2 bridge crossings we have down at the lower end. So everything is open and in pretty good shape there. The reports were sent out, what was done in the month of July to you guys from the drainage department. We're looking for that Bayou Conway deal and other areas in the parish to hire 2 additional personnel positions. Currently, we don't have dedicated staff to run the boat for after pumping events and things like that. We're having to use our equipment operators to do that. So we do wish that you consider that for us. And that would conclude my report and request there.
Mr. President?
Some of you remember years ago we had 2 men in a boat. We just want to go back to that because it will save us a lot of money. And I want to ask Ron a question. We know that the railroad is lifting a couple of those bridges in that area. Does anybody know how high? Because I heard we talked about 18 inches, but that's not going to happen. Do we know anything about that?
I rode out there with Representative Snyder, and it was around 1 foot to 18 inches is what was discussed. But I don't have that in facts. That's just what was said. Now, one thing I did notice out there was you have a lot of sets of pilings going across the channel. And what I saw out there, it looks like they are proposing wider spans of pilings. And Mr. Snyder said he was going to definitely get in contact with the railroad to ensure that they remove the old sets of pilings, which would give you more width going through the bridge and not have so many piling obstructions to catch debris on. That is what we found at that visit.
You know, we were working with Clay, had worked with them, and it just surprised me they on it as fast as they are, but they don't give us any documentation. They just verbal, you know. So that's all we know about that. Although a big thing is to take those old pilings out, because when they change pilings, they cut them off at the water, and they were under there obstructed. So that's where we are with that.
I do have one other thing, Chairman. I forgot the litter program is working well that we implemented, working with Keep Ascension Beautiful for prioritizing areas in the parish. And we had a first full month of work, and it looks like we're averaging, we only have 1 month to go by, but about 900 to 1,000 bags of litter was picked up. And so it's definitely making an impact. We're seeing it in our culverts and things of that nature, and we hope to continue this and keep doing that service. It's working out well.
Oh, all you councilmen I know have some of those areas, and so y'all can call them in, and then they will take the worst first, and that's the way we said it from the beginning. Okay.
Mr. Bill.
I wanted to thank you for the trash pickup and uncluttering the ditches and the culverts and everything that feeds into our pumping system. I forgot to do it, but at one time crossed my mind that I'd like to see a summary of. You said 1,000 bags just in a month. So is it? I'm sorry. Was that the right number?
Yeah.
So maybe could we get a summary of what maybe for the next meeting, Mr. Chairman,
Sure,
could we get a summary of what they picked up so far?
Let me just say this. I asked them for a weekly report. They give it to me, I'm going to send it to all of y'all weekly. That's what I'm understanding from the sheriff's office.
Yeah, I got it right here, too.
I think,
We can
I
just
get
put
some
that
of
on
those reports, but
Yeah.
they're very detailed, which I appreciate that. But I was thinking for this meeting, maybe we could get
Sure.
something with a summary and something that would convert those bags into cubic feet or something like that, so we can get an idea of what, no, it won't be precise, but again, thank you for that effort. And also wanted to thank you for, the cleanup in Bayou Conway and cleaning the trees and the vegetation. I was gonna ask about the railroad crossings, whether, because I did see something that they were being raised, but I also saw, like I think you did, that maybe it wasn't as high as we originally had hoped that they would do. So I'm wondering if maybe we can set up another trip to ride down there, Ron?
Sure. I could do is follow up with Representative Shake Snyder. I think he's following the project pretty close as well.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
we can see if he can find out maybe more since we met. That was a couple of weeks ago. So maybe there's some updates on it. I'll reach back out
Okay.
to him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And also I want to end with, I want to really thank y'all that, the last couple of weeks here that, I had a 4-inch rain event. And look, you call Ron, he can tell you exactly, they have the gauges out, they know what areas of, how many inches are falling, where they need to correct. It doesn't matter if it's a covered size or just doing regular maintenance. That's a really good job. I really appreciate y'all doing that, Ron. I know we picked up one in Galvez Oaks and also on Homestead. We had some problems in there, but
That's correct. I do have those graphs I can show you that rainfall, and we did have our engineer look at it. It was 2 different events, 2 inches in 1 hour time, 2 different days in a row, and you did see some results of some issues. And like you said, appreciate the compliment on it.
appreciate it. Terry?
Yeah, excuse me. Do we have an update on the Fish Bayou project? Anything from the Corps on that? I see her.
We have one.
We'll defer that to Ms. Kimberly.
Thank you.
We just submitted our comments last week, so we're still waiting, but they've been very responsive, so we anticipate it'll come soon.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Claude?
Yeah, Ron, y'all had referred to 2 men in a boat, the working guys. what is your scope of work for those guys?
Running this vegetation management in your channels that we really can't get to with the vegetation crews from the banks. It's these areas around bridges. After pumping events, it would be nice to go out to the bridges and inspect them and get a report back of what we do have obstructing. For example, on Bayou Conway, when we were clearing trees, well, the original scope of that was around 50 trees. Well, 16 of them fell while we were out there working.
Right.
So that kind of goes to show you, we need to be out there looking and have eyes out there for us. So their job is to report back, and if they can take care of it, take care of it. But if they need assistance, kind of let us know and, have our eyes on our channels out there.
And I think that goes for New River and Black Bayou also.
Yes, sir.
It's a constant thing.
Yes,
And,
sir.
I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb that, I'm gonna have past Councilman Kent Shakespeare to give you a call. Because he talked about 2 men in a boat. My grandfather was one of the men in the boat about 50-something years ago. But anyway, so Kent talked about it a long time. The simple things, just get out there, see it, and try to fix it, and try to open it up, and then report back if it's something you can't handle. I appreciate it, Ron. You moved something forward that been trying for years. Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else on the drainage report? Now, we'll move on to number 7, approval to accept the RFP Selection Committee recommendations. Ms. Jones.
Good evening. On July 10th, 2018, the Purchasing Department received 3 proposals for the repair and maintenance services at the Marvin Bro, Henderson Bayou, and Sorrento pumping stations. After review, the non-engineering selection committee recommends accepting the highest ranked proposal submitted by Delcon and to authorize the parish president to begin contract negotiations for this service.
I move to accept, but I have a question too.
Moved by
I'll
Mr.
second
Bill,
that.
Second by Ms. Terry. Discussion, Mr. Bill.
Joan, is this Delcom, are they out of Morgan City? Is that where's this company located? Does anybody know?
Maybe Dean. Dean, do you know where Delcon is located? I don't have anything.
I tried to look them up today.
I
and
don't have
could-
anything with me that has
Okay.
their address on it, so I can let you know.
Because there's a couple of these. There's a Delcom that's in Sunset. There's some that are out of state. There's one in Morgan City. Actually, and I think maybe,
They are in Louisiana, Mr. Bill. We have
Okay.
been able to see them perform out at one of the stations. They did some repair work, the kill cooler repairs. They did a great job at that.
Okay.
They are familiar with some of the work out there.
so I don't see anything here on the value of this contract. Did I miss it? Or it should have been there, or what?
Bill, I can promise you, you're gonna sleep a lot better at night after this is approved, because and look, I should have said this in the beginning. I want to thank Ms. Jones, Ron, and Dean out there. You know, when we have a certain situation out there, when these storms move in on us, and we are, time is of every second counts. This is the way we're gonna be able to fast track repairs to those pumps, able to keep that, just whatever working at the pump station. We're not gonna have to, worry about Caterpillar. This is something that's been vented, I know of, couple of months
Yeah,
for
I mean,
sure.
I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with
I
the
know.
contract. I'm just trying to fill in a few
Sure,
holes that are.
Sure,
in
I'm
that.
just letting y'all know, I'm gonna sleep a little bit better.
And Bill,
I'm good with it. Joan, you bid it out. What was the value?
It's $2 million, $1 million a year, but it's based on task orders.
Okay.
Based on okay. So it's 2 years at $1 million a year, and then release on task orders. Okay.
Yeah, and they're gonna have to provide a schedule of fees, because that's one of the requirements under the
Right.
public bill law to enter into a maintenance contract that is for a fixed price. So we'll have a fixed price list and then issue the task order based off of that not to exceed a certain amount per year.
And this includes Sorrento. Thank you.
Mr. Terry?
I'm good. As long as
Yeah.
identified as not to exceed.
This is actually something new that we're doing. Normally in the past, we have done it ourselves. We had manpower and did some maintenance. Are we still doing some maintenance on these pumps, or are we turning it all over to a contractor?
Currently, we do routine repairs if, we got a couple of millwrights out there. If a water pump goes out, starters, things like that, they part change and do those type of things. But this is something out of the box that we changed from everything that we've been doing. It's going to be task order oriented to where we can code it to each pumping station. We get an annual report of what we're spending at each station for this. And yes, it is a little bit more than the everyday repairs. It's more of getting us to preventative maintenance in place. So there will be a follow-up later on with engineering support to go along with this.
Okay, appreciate it, Ron.
This is along the lines of getting something in place to take care of the processes we've been going through. For example, gearbox number 3, it took months to get it procured properly. This is a solution to where we can move forward with repairs that we cannot predict. We have something in place to move forward quick and get the pumps back up for the parish and the residents.
All for preventive maintenance, so good job.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to pass you up, Ken, but thank you. You was in that meeting also. I know you want to add a few things to it.
Just real quick, and I think that Ron hit it. One thing that we always were faced with, especially during crunch time around the storm, is that the procurement situation. Joan and I talk about it a lot, and this was a method that we can procure the type of services that we needed, and on a task order basis, get the work done without having to wait 2 or 3 months to go through the process. This is just being smart about how we implement it to make sure we are doing things according with the law, but also providing what we needed when we need something fixed quickly. And that's why Ron also mentioned the engineering piece of this will be coming later. So we have engineering, and we have someone can do the work, and we issue by task order to make sure it's done quickly.
And just let everybody know, this is just for maintenance type deals. We can't do any new constructions or projects. That's still got to come forward to you. This just prevents us to have to go publicly bid a job every time we need to get something fixed. That takes, 4 or 5 months to get done.
You broke Randy's heart up here. Go ahead, Randy.
I'm good. I'm good. My question was answered from the last time. Thank you, Cody.
Okay.
Thank all you guys.
If no opposition to the motion. None. Motion passed. Okay, number 8, the approval of the non-engineering selection committee recommendations. Ms. Jones?
On July 11, 2018, the purchasing department received 2 proposals for roadside ditch maintenance. After review, the non-engineering selection committee recommends accepting the highest ranked proposal submitted by On Grade Construction and to authorize the parish president to begin contract negotiations for this service.
So again, I move to approve, but I'd like to know the value.
Sure. Moved by Mr. Bill.
Second.
Second by Mr. Todd. Discussion, Mr. Bill.
Just what's the value of this one, Ms. Shivers?
We started this something new again out the box, doing something a little different, trying to get help with work orders on roadside ditch work. We started off with a budget of $250,000 to kind of see how this thing kicks off and goes. And if it takes off and grows, we'll be coming back to you.
So this is for like the rest of the year, or what's the time frame of this?
This is for a 1-year
A 1-year
contract,
contract,
and have some renewals
250,000.
behind it. We also are looking at, if this is approved, if other contractors want to work according to the price schedule that was presented, it'll kind of work like our trucker contracts, where we might be able to have multiple
More than
companies
one.
on retainer, if possible.
Okay.
Mr. Dodd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My concern's a little different. The 2 companies that bidded here, On Grade and L. King, I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like this as far as the judges' scoring of the selection committee.
Big difference.
But, well, not just the difference, Randy, but the On Grade guys, 3 of the 4 of our judges or scorers on the selection committee scored 14, 10, and 7 respectively. The 4th one scored 76. I assume all judges had the ability to score from 0 to 100. So that's extremely low for 3 out of 4 judges. And then for El King, the high judge for on grade from 76 is 34, so at least it's higher, but the other three judges went 7, 6, and 2. I'm a little hesitant to award any money to anyone with such abysmally low scoring, or unless someone can tell me what exactly is going on here. And let's start with the selection committee. Again, in my packet, I have this difficulty just about every time. I realized that Mr. Dawson, Mr. Daniel, Mr. Enlow, Mr. Savoy, and Ms. Shivers were all present at the meeting, but with 4 judges, I'm not sure who the 4 judges were. Can I assume Ms. Shivers is the odd lady out and the other 4 individuals were judges?
But I don't judge, I don't score.
Okay, so that would mean that then these low scores, 3 out of the 4 judges, are people that are very expert in doing this. Is there any particular reason why these scores are so low? Does someone want to speak toward that?
I can, or the chair can, but I can provide an explanation. On the score sheet, there's a whole list of criterias. Some of the judges scored the criteria as, because it wasn't applicable, they scored 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 until the section that related to the project. The other judge just gave all of them the same amount, meaning that instead of giving 0, 0, 0 for non-applicable, they gave them, if the top score was 15 or 10, they went 10, 10, 10, 10, and gave each group the same amount until they came to the section that pertained to this particular project.
Okay, thank you for that, Ms. Shivers. So, Mr. Chairman, that generates another question I'll ask. So, are we using appropriate, or are we using the wrong score sheets in if many of the categories people are scoring, I guess, not applicable or 0 scores? Because it sounds like we should be using a different score sheet or something here. Or am I just messing that up too?
Mr. Daniel, you was in there.
Yeah, Bill can address that. William can address that.
Members of the council, this was basically a digging by the foot contract. And the score sheet asked other questions that the responders did not respond to. They probably should have responded to them, but what we were interested most was the digging by the foot price. So this on grade was clearly the lowest price on digging by the foot, and they're capable of doing the work. So we would like to award the contract to them. The RFP asked for other jobs. I don't remember all of the things that they just simply didn't respond to. Both companies responded with a per price per foot bid, and they didn't respond to the other questions. So, and that's primarily what we were interested in. So while it would have been nice to have all the other information, we got the information that was most necessary to award the contract.
Okay, as a final follow-up then, so if we're interested in digging per foot, could you share, Mr. Daniel, or someone on the committee, what was the delta in between On Grade and El King? Was it a big difference or a little difference? You said both of them could do it.
There was a huge difference. One was $900 something per foot, and one was $7 per foot.
Okay.
So it wasn't really hard to figure out.
Wow. So that's kind of scary again, too. I mean,
well, we calculated
is the 900 guy overcharging us, or is the $7 guy crazy and doesn't know what he's? Let me rephrase the word crazy.
I would say that they didn't understand it, sir. We calculated in like the $4 to $7 range per foot. So we were very comfortable with the bid.
I guess, Mr. Chairman, the word comfort is what I'm looking for. I want to be comforted.
We still discuss, Aaron, I'm sorry.
Ron, how are we going to plan this? I know there was some talk about creating districts or mapping out the ditches, or are we just going by calls here?
This is going to have to be very basic work orders. So it will be, it was posted that it will not be all work. It will be work decided by the district, by our staff. So we would take the routine work orders that are not so complex, that have a lot of footage, and try to get these contractors focusing on that. And then that would take our guys and free them up to do the more complex jobs with a lot of driveway work and stuff like that. So this is something new that we're just trying to get another avenue to get things moving in another direction. And this
Trial
is,
run.
like you said, it's not something that is guaranteed to 250. It's by task order that we see their performance. And unfortunately, all we got was 2 responses. And so we don't know if I did talk to, contractors in the past, and a lot of people that I've talked with, they don't necessarily really want to get into the work field of what we do. Now that's, when you advertise like this, you can't really reach out to that many companies, but maybe if they get wind of this happening, they may come to the table and we have the option for the price scale that they can open the door to. And hopefully this starts something new that we can get moving forward.
Well, Ron, thank you for trying something new. It's good to see a little innovation. President Tom, sorry.
And you know all the work orders we have. We're looking at innovative ways to do things, and this is one it's a trial run. If it doesn't work, we're definitely gonna scrap it. But we're hoping it will take off and work, and other contractors would come in and help us catch up. So that's where we're at.
Mr. Randy.
Once again, Ron, thank you guys and all the staff that the approach you're taking to where you can turn loose a good straight piece of ditch is something that's not complicated, to where you ain't got to go knock on Uncle Joe's door and come in the back gate and go around the oak tree and make sure the cow's all right and everything to clean out ditch. If you got some shots and some good clean ditches that you can give them and you get some progress going, we appreciate it.
Mr.
It's redundant, but thank you so much. I mean, this is innovative. It's outside of what we have traditionally done, and I appreciate that very much.
Mr. Tom.
Yeah, this is something we asked for several years back, and this group up here asked for this, and administration is bringing it to us, and I'm all for it, trying to see what we can, knock some of these work orders down and get these ditches clean, especially before the big rains come. Appreciate it.
John? Yeah. Go ahead.
More. Does it include disposal?
Yes.
Okay.
God. Good deal. I'm not going to unload my machine for that. So it's a good deal.
We have a motion and a second on this agenda item. Any opposition to the motion? None. Motion passed. Thank y'all for the good work on this. Okay, number 9, authorization to fund culverts, material, and installation of culverts, roadside ditches of Jeanette Road, and to authorize the parish president Kenny Mataza to execute and sign all documents pertaining to this project. This is one of mine. I have Mr. Enlow and who else was working on this project? Miss Liz, would y'all, if we have any questions on this, can y'all help from transportation? Just a little background on it. We've had a couple of phases of road projects, and there's a lot of water that's been rerouted onto Jeanette. What's happening now, the roadside, the edges of the roads are getting ate up from erosion from all the water that they were pushing through Jeanette. I had Ron and them put this on there. I just want to, give everyone a heads up. It's taking on a lot of water. And, Ron, if you have anything to add to it, I definitely appreciate if we can move this.
Yeah, there is a lot of water brought to that road. In that particular area, we couldn't get servitude, I believe, in one area, and had to route some additional water to that street. And there are some pretty steep ditches there, and this recommendation of the pavement division that it would help out with safety in that area as well, and it also benefit the drainage in that area too.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Have a motion, is that question? Mr. Kluwat.
Ron, how much culvert are we looking at here?
It's I want to say 600 feet on each, or total 300 on each side. But the total that we would have incurred, the transportation department, was close to $200,000. And because our budget is so limited, we can't take on the cost of a roadside ditch. We agreed. We replaced the culverts underneath the road, but this road really, like Councilman Lambert said, the water is washing out the roadbed. So it needs attention as quickly as we can get it. And because it was so much money, we're asking the drainage board to help us out.
So it's for major drainage. It just happens to be on the side of a road.
Correct. All that's roadside drainage. But the drainage department will be supplying the materials. Our contractor will install it. So we'll have to do a change order in the future for just a price for the RJ Daigle for
So the request in front of drainage right now is to furnish the materials.
Furnish materials and for the installation.
Okay, and your contractor will be installing.
That's correct. That's correct.
Mr. Chairman.
Question, Mr. Don?
Yes, ma'am. So will some of these culverts in the roadside ditches actually traverse the fronts of residential properties in which driveways will go across them?
Yes, sir. They will have to, I think there's several driveways, but 2 or 3 of them are with concrete. So they'll have to come back and rebuild them, pour the concrete. I can't recall. Do you remember how many driveways total we're going to be crossing?
There can't be more than a dozen, 10.
Yeah, it's.
So in case my wife's watching at home, hi, baby. I'm sure she is. Everybody knows that Doc Sadley's got a eroded culvert in front of his home. And we've been told in the past that it would be my financial responsibility to put reinforced concrete pipe or whatever color material, metal corrugated that I want. Parish would wonderfully come out and shoot grade to be sure it's installed right, and all my neighbors' water that flows in front of my house will continue to flow without being impaired, but that I'd have to pay obviously the contracting fee, et cetera. So how do we justify when I start getting calls tomorrow, the first, which will probably come from my wife, how come these guys are getting culverts and they don't have to pay and the parish is paying for it and we have to pay?
We are actually tying into a couple of existing culverts that are the right size. Our drainage engineer sized all the driveway culverts. So the ones that need to be upgraded, we're replacing because it's insufficient. It won't handle the water.
But with no cost to the homeowners?
Not at this point. But I don't know how. I don't.
And I want to support it. I want to support Dempsey here, and I understand that we created a problem. It sounds like, but once again, when we create problems with drainage, I wonder why we didn't consider this when we approved whatever it is we approved in order to produce the problem. This is a little bit of a slippery slope for the old chicken
All the way
doctor.
back to the road.
One side of the road was has all the right size color, so we're really just looking at one side of the road that we'll have to replace 2 or 3 drainage, driveway culverts. At this point, no, we don't have a way to get money back from the homeowners.
I will say this.
In the beginning, and like you said, is due to bringing all the water from one area back to
We created the problem,
Yeah.
so we're taking on the financial responsibility to upgrade the pipe.
Yeah, this is more of a road issue, similar to Swamp Road, which we're looking at as well.
Yeah, it's a road, I understand you.
So it's either by the,
It's
purchase the right of
causing
way.
a road to a road.
Yes, sir.
Which is also what's happening in front of my house, by the way, but.
The road is?
Look, we got a lot on the agenda tonight. I'm gonna hold my nose and probably vote for this one tonight, but, I just wanted to be on record that I'm a little concerned about this and I wouldn't want to make it a habit.
All right. Well, some of these.
Unless we change other
drainage
things. I personally would like to see us take care of it all, but again, I know it's unrealistic. We don't have the money every time a culvert, deteriorates and needs changing in front of someone's home.
Right.
I will say this,
In
Councilman.
fact, when we get to Fountain Hills in a minute, I got a call just this afternoon, and I could have handled it during the drainage report, but I decided to wait. They're upset. That's the subdivision, and the president of the homeowners association is telling me that he's got $1 million home just this afternoon before he came here, and someone in DPW told him after it's going to be a substantial completion coming up, the pipes will put in and everything for the drainage. we now have to put the road back, and, of course, the parish, because asphalt's a lot cheaper than concrete, wants to put asphalt in. He wants at least concrete. I think they've given up on the idea of bricking it. So here comes the problems. We take roads in the parish maintenance system, and then after time, that's a main road coming in where everybody has to use it, not just that end house with, well, the guy's got the $1 million house. Of course, all the houses in that subdivision are probably $1 million houses or close to it. But, you know, I told him, I said, and here's the problem I have. Apparently somebody in DPW told the gentleman that, talk to your councilman, Doc Sadley, and have him call us and tell them, meaning DPW, what he wants to do, concrete or asphalt. I had a laugh on the phone saying, I have no powers whatsoever, nor any inclination. Sounds like the old police story to be telling DPW what kind of material they need to be used on the job. So I assume that they're going to get asphalt, and if they don't like the way it looks, I told them, it's like we're talking about in front of my house. You have to get with your homeowners there and pass the hat and get some money, and maybe you could have concrete instead of asphalt.
I can answer some of that. Doc, excuse me.
Well, I don't want to recognize you, but the chairman, I'm sure will.
Mr. President.
I got sort of a similar call, and we have several areas that fall into that same category with pavers and stuff. And I talked with O'Neill about it, and I said, you know, we going through the cost of fixing, this is in our right-of-way, okay? Now, we didn't tell them to put pavers in there. We didn't, if the whole road was concrete, it would be one thing, but just the entrances, and then it's blacktop. So we're going to offer them to fix it with blacktop, but if they want concrete pavers or whatever they want, we will give them, we would put up that much money, and they could put up the rest. It's up to them. But this is not just one case. There's several cases like that in nice subdivisions that we're going to fix it with blacktop, and if they want further than that, they have to pay for it.
That's exactly what I told them. I couldn't see how I have any power to do anything differently, nor as I said any necessarily inclination to do that. I would just say that we need to, as a council, be careful when we come through transportation and we keep taking these roads into the maintenance system. Everybody knows where I stand on that now, too, as far as just putting that consent agenda and keep doing it, because not only do you have that, you know, increasing the roads and all that, they're going to fail, and things like this are going to happen, and we have to pay for them. And I think, unfortunately, these homeowners think that from the get-go, that because it was concrete to start with, or as our president just said, pavers or whatever, the parish owes them to put it back that way. And clearly, that's not the case.
I just wanted to say, Councilman, that we're not allowed by the state constitution to go out and replace someone's culvert under their driveway unless there's a public purpose. And so the drainage work that we're doing, the only time that we're allowed to replace someone's culvert is if there is a public purpose involved. But if the culvert is just deteriorating because of old age or something like that, we can't touch it. But if we're doing other work there and we need to replace it for drainage, then there is a public purpose there.
Right. Well, you know, Mr. Daniel, to be totally honest about it, we've had this argument before you joined in. I can remember it years ago, and I'll use myself again as the example. Yes, it's old. Yes, it's deteriorating. But as far as public purpose is concerned, all the people upstream from me, including Senator Lambert, who lives 2 doors down, water passes in front of my house. And so the public purpose is to keep that water going from, you know, St. Andrews through Greenbrier Estates all the way to the Perkins Road for it to eventually get into Bayou Man Shack.
But that's a civil matter, not a public purpose matter.
I'll tell my wife.
Mr. Cluart.
Well, I mean, it may die of a lack of second, but if you want to, Doc, I can, you know, we can amend the motion to include your driveway.
Oh, absolutely not.
I'll second that.
No. I object, Mr. Chairman, you know.
But being that.
I'm just saying, and I'm not playing just, Randy, thank you, devil's advocate, but heck no, don't do that.
All right. Well, anyway, but in my district alone, we probably, if we rode every road and everything, and Ron and them know every bit of road in my district, that as we go through and try to improve drainage, we're running into culverts that have been in places for 50 years. It's not whether they deteriorate or not. There probably might be an 8-inch culvert where it needs to be just 16-inch culvert. And as we make good drainage plans and try to, because some of the water travels down the road, then it finds a side ditch to get back to a major waterway. We're gonna end up working some of those into our business of, and we're gonna pick up some kind of cost if it's at the public good. I can't name one right now. I'm just saying I know good and well there's a bunch. So as we try to get out and improve these major drainage sections, y'all look at a place and y'all know, okay, well, this street drains here, drains to that ditch drains to that canal. And we know where the bottleneck's at. All you gotta do is ride in a major rainstorm and you see where the culverts are plugged or the culverts are undersized. Where even when they go out and blow them out with the truck, they still are not performing to the point they were. And we just went a lot of years in this parish without any regulations on that, and people put in what they could. Bless their souls, you know. So this is not the last time this subject's going to come up. So we're going to continue to work with it problem by problem. We appreciate it.
Mr. Johnson, you had anything?
Let's go.
I know we had a motion and a second. Any opposition to the motion? None. Motion passed. Appreciate it. We're going to move on to number 11, approval to accept the quote. This is Mr. Ron Salvor.
Yes, this is for Warden Smith and authorized to execute a contract between Warden Smith and East Ascension Consolidated Gravity Drainage District Number 1 for mechanical repairs, Auburn Pump Station, not to exceed $149,568, and authorize parish president to sign any and all documents pertaining to the contract.
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Benny, second by Mr. Johnny. Discussion, Mr. Bill.
So did somebody else bid on this?
I think we took this up at finance. I believe you guys went through this. They had several people propose, but only one actually formally submitted a proposal to do the work.
Yep.
We're asking to move forward.
So we went out for bids, correct?
For quotes, yeah.
And,
yeah, they did.
It's underneath the $154,000 benchmark to require you to go out to advertise for bids.
Yep.
So I think
yeah, I mean, I'm seeing that it's $400 less than $150,000.
It's $154,000 is the threshold, but it is under.
Right, so 4,000 is 4,000.
4432.
4432. Okay.
Mr.
So we didn't get any other bids. We went out for quotes and we didn't get any other bids.
That's correct.
So I'm also curious as to now what's the difference between this contract and the one that we just had with Delcom?
Yes, sir. So we have several items at the pumping station that we felt like couldn't wait for the process to get these contracts in place. We needed to move forward, get them fixed. We're still running the engines and the rake systems that are there, but there are some things that need maintenance out there. And one is the number 6 rake. It needs a lot of realignment and some work done to it. And number 6 engine cooling system has some plumbing issues, and they did correct that on the new pump number 7, so they know what they needs to have happen there to fix it. So that's another item. All of those items were included in one bid. So that is noted that it is, I think, 3 different items that have to be repaired out there. It's not just one item that was looked into.
And maybe that's Cody can answer that. So what if this contract goes to $154,000 through extras, or?
Then if there's any change orders, we're going to have to bid the additional order. Can't tack it on.
Okay.
Mr. Aaron.
You had mentioned realignment work and something on the rakes, realignment of the rakes. How does this occur? And I thought we had somebody out there looking at this stuff before it happened, and not y'all. I mean, how do we end up with this misalignment?
There's a beam at the top of the rake that's actually got a bow in it. It's obvious. You can see it bent. So it's still functioning and running, but it needs to be straightened before something more goes into damage on our rake system.
Is that just normal wear and tear?
No. One of them freezers is picked up.
Yeah,
in the flood. A big chunk of debris.
No,
it does have a lot of debris come up there, and you know,
this incident, this happened. I'm not taking up anything, but I'm gonna say the beam started out straight.
Well, that's what I'm asking, it's just normal wear and
That's what
tear.
you wanted, yeah.
How did the beam get crooked?
I would assume over time, started picking up all this debris in multiple
Okay.
pumps. It probably got weak, and then it's starting to, as time goes on, it's getting a little more. Now, it's not like you go out there and it's big bin, but if you look back at it, our guys doing their routine inspections out there noticed it, and started looking into signs of what's going on the rake. And
I just want to make sure that when we first got it installed, this wasn't a problem that's been there for a while. Not that, I knew it can happen over time. My concern was this something that should have been caught when they first installed this?
Mr. President.
Answer. We had a meeting with everybody about all of the pumps. And Alan Allred and all of our drainage people were there, and they brought up different things that needed to be handled before something bad happens to them. And when you added them all up, we had quotes from the company, and we added them up, and it was under 150. And so I did an emergency to get it done. Right. And emergencies still don't happen overnight, but it was several items that needed to be done, and it was under 150, and we let them know that it can't go over 150. So we just did it like that on the emergency. It was a good company that knows how to fix it. Like he said, they fixed it before. As far as the bow and all that, this went 2016 and all of that, it wear and tear.
Okay, I'm just learning about it.
Bill, you had anything else on that?
No, thank
Randy, you had any?
No, to explain what I wanted to say is that the beam started out right, started out straight, it was engineered right. Beat it up over time. Now it needs to be fixed.
Well, and if it makes any comfort, I think the items that we've taken care of earlier, a lot of this is gonna be really taken care of, so, it's moving in the right direction. We just had a few hiccups here that we had to attend to. So we have a motion and a second on the quote. Any opposition to the motion? None, motion passed. All right, number 12, approval of substantial completion for the Fountain Hill clean. Ron?
Yeah, this is approval of substantial completion of Fountain Hill Clean and Cure in Place Pipe, wastewater treatment of Louisiana Incorporated. This is not the project was discussed earlier at the entrance. This is a sinkhole repair on a resident in a drainage servitude off the road. Had a lot of cave-ins there with some metal pipe, and that job's been done and completed. And
so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Mr. Sadley, second by Mr. Bill Dawson. Any questions? Ms. Terry?
I just want to know if Lolo let everybody know that it got done.
Oh, man, name drop.
I don't know, but she was very appreciative to our crews, and we thank her for doing that.
Fantastic.
Take care of them.
We are so glad that she's happy. Thank you very much.
Good work all around. Go ahead, Mr. Sadley.
Okay, Ron, you forced my hand. I got a call from the lady and some others actually appreciated what y'all were doing in the sinkhole. I didn't realize they weren't connected earlier, so I misspoke, but thank you.
Appreciate it, though.
Great. Motion and second. Any opposition? None. Motion passed. All right. Number 13, authorization. Cody,
Sure, this is.
you on deck.
This is a local services agreement. Y'all have approved these in the past. This one is in reference to the Hillaryville-Darrow Sewer Project. It's between you guys as the Drainage Board, the parish government, and ACUD, basically to share costs and expenses, mobilization, everything in doing the project.
Motion.
Mr. Johnny, second by Mr. Randy.
One question.
Mr. Bill, question.
Cody, real quick, is it ACUD 1 or 2, or does it have to, should that be outlined in the contract? I see the title has ACUD 1, but the contract doesn't have that distinction.
I'll refer to administration on that question. They know more details as to who that is. Bill, Daniel probably knows that.
Gonna be 2.
Yes, this is dealing with the Hillary-Darrow sewer system, so it's gonna really focus on 2.
Okay. So we're gonna add 2
Yeah, I'm making a note right now.
to the
Go
contract.
correct that and clarify.
Mr. Todd.
Yeah, Ken, past president, why is the drainage board getting involved in a sewer project? Why are we spending costs on a sewer project?
Daniel, take that.
We have a utilities department, and why are we using drainage funds that's dedicated for drainage for sewer?
We're not 100% sure we will, sir, but we're going to be, so the project requires us to connect to some of the houses, which means we'll have to go through some of the ditches to do so. So if we do, we don't have all the equipment to fix that, so we wanted to be able to use the drainage district's equipment to go in and fix some of that. So they told us the best way to do it would be with a local services agreement. But we're actually going to
But
connect.
we gotta remember, this is dedicated funds. Drainage is dedicated funds for drainage. And just by us up here at the board saying, yes, you can use it, we can do it, is it still legal, Cody?
It is. If you actually read the agreement, the cost is going to be proportioned as to the work that's done to each specific portion. So sewer work's going to be paid for by utilities, road work by roadside, any drainage work by drainage.
And what do you consider drainage, like, say, on a sewer project, other than, that's road ditches?
Well, we're gonna have to-
Sewer trunk lines is utilities.
We're going to have to go through some of the ditches to get to them, and then to restore the ditches to where they'll flow properly. We want to be able to do that.
Okay.
Mr. Aaron, you had something?
No, sir.
All right, we have a motion and a second on authorization for the local agreements. Any opposition?
I just have one more comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Taylor.
I'm just pleased to see us cooperating. I mean, we are one parish, we do have designated funds, but if we are capable of coordinating these projects, then we can get work done. And that is what our citizens deserve, is for some work to be done. And as long as our lawyers keep us between the ditches, literally, where we don't make a mistake, then I think this is something we ought to all support. And I am very grateful for the opportunity to vote in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, any opposition? None? Motion passed. All right, number 14, approval to amend contract scope of CSSI.
Move to approve.
Mr. Ron, move to approve by Mr. Bill, second by Mr. Johnny. Discussion? Ron, you had anything?
Nope, sounds good.
None. Any opposition? None? Motion passed. Number 15, Mr. Aaron adjourned.
Yes, sir.
Second by Mr. Johnny. Thank you.